How we doing? Everybody good? Yeah, getting ready to start practice tomorrow. I know everybody's excited to get back out there on the field, see how we've some of the gains we've made just physically. Hopefully made some good physical gains, a little bigger, a little faster, a little stronger during the off-season program. Get back out and get back to work. I know we had a good year last year, but obviously we want to be better. If we want to be better, we got to work harder. We got to practice a little bit harder. We got to practice better. We got to perform at a little bit higher level, and that's everybody. We had a great fan sport, unbelievable fan sport last year from the Gator Nation. Sport and games, we need even more this year. We need to pack the swamp even more, create even a better home field advantage. Everything is you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You never stay the same. So we're always striving to push ourselves to improve in every aspect of the program and in everything that we do. And that's our challenge as we kick off the first practice for the 2019 season tomorrow. What do you guys got? We haven't been on the field, so I can't tell you how everybody's improved yet. So I've got no idea.
What was Emory Jones's kind of approach and focus this offseason and biggest area of growth maybe?
Just working hard. We'll see when we get on the field, but, he's worked hard, studying film, understanding the offense better, getting a little bit bigger, putting on some weight. We'll see. We can't be there when they work out at throwing workouts and stuff, so I want to see how much. I know they've done a bunch, but we'll see how much that translates when we're able to get with them on the field tomorrow.
Did he add? I remember last year. What was your target? It was like 210 or 15.
Yeah,
he didn't get
size-wise,
close to that.
He's put on a little bit of girth.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still a young guy, still developing. So, that's. Thought he did a decent job this offseason. We'll see as it comes. Through another whole training cycle in the summer of summer conditioning to see where he gets to.
And Felipe, just his approach, growth. What were you saying?
Same deal. He's worked hard. I think he's a great competitor. He's learned what we expect in the program, and I've seen him really compete hard this offseason. The mental side of it. Again, like I said, we can't be out there when they throw. We're not like the other sports where you can work skills in the off season. So, a lot of it's going to be able to see what it translates when we get on the field.
Obviously, you hope for a big jump every year, but do you believe in the year two jump, that's some of your biggest jumps from year one to year two?
I don't know. We'll see. I think our guys have probably a better understanding going out on the field. It should be a lot easier going out to practice tomorrow than it was this time last year when nobody really knew what to expect. I think they know what to expect. I don't know about the jumps from one year to the next. It's going to be we'll take a jump if we work harder. If we do what we did last year, then we can't expect to be better than we were last year. So it's going to really see how everybody's put in the extra time. I know a lot is what you do, what we do. I know we ask them to come in and lift. When we have meetings, we have meetings. When we have agilities, we have agilities. When we have speed training, we have speed training. If that's all we've done, then we can't expect to be any better than we were last year. That's the minimum. So it's really what everybody does on above and beyond that is going to determine your success.
And then on the Miami game, moves everything up a week. Does that affect you at all this time of year, or how does it affect you in the off season and in between?
Not really, not much. There's you got 25 practices before you play your first game. So and how we set up and organize our training camp and how we do that and how spring ball, that's so far out. So it really has no effect right now. No, because we'll run training camp the same way we always run training camp. Yeah.
Yeah, on that, though, your thoughts on having 3 open dates, whether it's a positive or negative or just...
Ask me in December.
was there any trepidation on your part about going to that?
To that, no, I always think we do a pretty good job scheduling with our players with time off and trying to keep them fresh and trying to keep them healthy. in what we do. I mean, that's one of the things we spend a lot of time on. Of that is the health of the players. Probably more than anybody else. I think they probably have they have doctors and other people study it, but I'm guarantee you they don't study it as much as we do as coaches, trying to make sure our players are healthy, in the best position to succeed and put them in position to be successful, and keep them healthy and allow them to perform at their best. So it'll be something different. I've had some. And you look back in the years, there's been years where we've had multiple bye weeks. Used to be a common thing back in the day to have 2 bye weeks, and then they went to but when they went 11 to 12 game schedule, it went down to 1. But since it's been 12, we've had the multiple bye week time. I've had it where we've played Thursday night games, and that gives you multiple, kind of a weird schedules. And we always kind of plot it out and really spend a lot of time with the trainers and the strength coaches and everybody on our staff how to keep everybody mentally fresh.
Is it a concern at all, though, with 3 bye weeks that it's hard to build momentum? You like to play the next Saturday.
Yeah. That's why I say you got to ask me in December. I was the question, but is the bye week coming a good time? I don't know. I guess if we win the next game, it did. If we lose the next game, it didn't. I just think it's all just a scheduling deal of how you, what you do with the program.
Going off of Mark's question, being at year 2, is there another level of the playbook that you can get to, or is you just looking for faster and better execution?
Well, there's more you can do, but we're going to do what our guys do well. And I think as the year went on, you saw that when we really found out about the team. Hopefully, we know more about the team and where we're at. It's a brand new team, though, this year, so we still got to learn about what this year's team's going to be about. I just think, and you got out there on day 1, there better be a lot more carryover. They know how to practice. They know what we expect from them, but they also have an idea within the scheme. So there'll be a lot of young faces out there, guys in new roles, that maybe hasn't been in that part of a lead role before, but it's the foundation of the offense and defense should be a lot of carryover and should allow you to accelerate the learning curve and the comfort level within what we're doing on both sides of the ball a little quicker.
Thomas. Going back to the Miami game, have you guys talked about whether or not you'll be able to host recruits for that game?
You know what? That was a question I asked. I don't know. There's an NCAA rule now. Well, one, you can't because it's not. It's a dead period. But it was going to be a dead period anyway because it was right. It's till September 1st is a dead period. I know there was some discussion. We discussed it at the AFCA level. I don't know how far it's gotten up to the NCAA level, which is the August dead period. To me, makes a lot of sense. Right. Because you're in training camp and high school players are in training camp, and the August dead period really should end when you play your game. You know what I mean? Or if they want to keep it that way, it's not dead on a game day. So you could host recruits. But being a neutral site game, I don't think that's something that's been addressed of how that would, right now it's a non-factor because it's during a dead period. Yeah, it came up this year, and the whole discussion of it all is you can't host, and if you're a team, you have 6 home games, and one of them is that first weekend, you're at a competitive disadvantage. So that's not really fair in recruiting because it's one day earlier off of off an NCAA calendar, which that's another whole discussion, the calendar. But so if it is, I don't know. It would be something you'd work out of. Are you? I don't think either school would want one school to host and the other not. So it'd be like an opportunity to co-host recruits. Either everybody's all in or everybody's all out.
And then you had a couple guys left the season injured. Are you expecting any guys out for spring or non-contact maybe?
There'll be a couple here and there, guys banged up. We'll see. And guys still getting through some little strains and stuff during the off season. The only guy I don't expect is Marlon Dunlap is probably the only guy, right? You have the list. Oh, yeah. Moon, McDowell, and Dunlap would be probably the three that are be doubtful to get back in the spring. Everybody else might be limited here or there, but those guys are doubtful to get back this spring. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dan. Going into last year, you said the key with Felipe was making the non-spectacular plays. So what do you think is the key for him heading into the spring, or a couple keys?
Same deal. Well, I mean, that's always a huge deal. That's managing the offense, of understanding where to go with the ball. I'd love him to just make some, be able to understand what's going on and make quicker decisions. Which again gets down to non-spectacular plays. I think one thing he really bought into at the end of the year was his ability to play physical. Like I said, I mean, we don't at the quarterback position. You're not looking for I don't need a dynamic runner, or a great runner, or even any bit of runner. You just want somebody that is going to have kind of a toughness edge to him. And I think you saw as the year went on. He kind of played with some toughness, and I think it upped his confidence. It upped the team's confidence in him. It upped everybody's level of play when, every once in a while he goes and he drops his pads on somebody to run into an end zone. And, that lifts everybody's spirits on the team that this guy's leading us with, and he has a toughness to him, both mentally and physical toughness to him. I think that's such a huge part of the quarterback position. To do that and have that edge to you. So I think that that helped him. Obviously, we don't usually hit the quarterbacks that much in the spring. So I don't know that he'll really have a factor of doing that during the springtime. But hopefully it just raised confidence, and then in his confidence helps him be more comfortable in the offense, being a quicker decision maker. Because if you're a quicker decision maker, you know where you want to go with the ball. You got a chance to be more accurate. Now you're make good decisions with great accuracy. You end up becoming a pretty good quarterback.
Robbie, Kylan Johnson, what is his status for the spring? I know he's in the transfer portal.
Yeah. So he came to see me. He's going to graduate. He's not going to be practicing with the team. He's going to graduate either spring or first summer semester, and then look to be a grad transfer to go somewhere else.
Anybody else planning to transfer that you know of, or?
Not that I know of, but we'll see. Usually that's what everybody said. I mean, I have no problem with it with guys as long as they do it for all the right reasons. He's a guy that, fulfilled his obligations, played hard, worked hard, did a great job with the program while I was here, going to earn his degree from the University of Florida, which is pretty special to have with you for the rest of your life. And, I think once the opportunity to go somewhere where he's going to have the ability to play more in his final season of football.
Hey Dan, with Moon being doubtful, like you said, what kind of spring, what could a big spring do for a guy like Diabate?
Yeah, well, I think those guys. There's certainly going to be opportunities for guys, I think one of the things you see that we love is the ability for guys to rotate, and I love playing a lot of players and creating depth, and not just depth for the health purposes and the speed and how aggressive we play. And the experience of guys, but also for competition. So I think, if especially you look at that spot, that outside backer spot with, losing one guy to graduation, another guy decides to leave early for the draft, and then, the next guy is injured for the spring. A lot of opportunities for guys to go earn some reps and playing time for when the season comes around.
Is there anything in particular you're looking for tomorrow, maybe physicality-wise or from certain guys to feel comfortable with what they did during the offseason?
No, we're in helmets tomorrow, so there's really not much physicality. Really just the attitude to me. That's what I'm looking for is, are we attacking it? We only get 15 opportunities to be out there. Are we, maximizing that opportunity? Are we playing with unbelievable effort and strain? Have we learned to push ourselves and play harder than we did last year? That's one thing. You watch some cut-ups, and not just the scheme. I think we could play a lot harder than we did last year. We played hard at times. And that not a knock on our guys. I think they were learning how to play hard. And, that's one thing you watch the film. And I can put on clips of guys and just ask, is that as hard as you can go? And they'll say no. And it wasn't that they were being defiant and not doing it last year. They just didn't realize how hard they actually could go. And as the year went on, we learned. So that's something I want to see, that we attack it and we have a little bit different mindset of what our definition of effort and strain is when we hit the field.
And then how do things change plan-wise, or maybe just in your mindset, when you're going in with a QB1 actually set?
Is it set? I don't have any position set. I've never had a position set, When I was here before, I didn't even have a position set. And that was Urban's deal. It's like, well, you can go do the press conference when you say Cam Newton's going to start over Tim Tebow. It's like, I'm not doing that press conference. No, I just love competition. One of the things you see, we get a lot of guys reps. We try to get as many people reps as we can. One, to build depth, but two, for competition. And, I think no matter, I don't care really. The great thing at quarterback now is we have some experience at that position coming in and experience within the system. So that should be fun. But we also do it running back. I'm more concerned to see where our level is on the offensive line, and in some of the linebacker positions more than the quarterback. But to me, every position is wide open. Guys are competing for reps out there on the field. And their performance, no matter what position you play, you got to go perform every day.
Yeah, following up, is there a unit more on the spot than the offensive line? And what's the message from you guys?
On the spot, there's just great opportunities right there for guys. You look, there's one guy with a bunch of experience coming back as a starter from last year. And so, there's some good young talent, and certainly nobody going to be able to complain about their opportunity on the offensive line this spring. Everybody's got an opportunity, and it's what they go do with it is up to them individually. So, it's not something that I get frustrated. One thing in spring, the amazing thing at the end of spring, you're 0-0. And I don't try to. You're not going out there and winning the practice. You're going out there and spring's a time of major development. Now, you got to compete every day, and we'll do competitive things every day and have competitive drills with winners and losers in them. But for me as a coach, I want to see, we talk about, learning to play with great effort, learning to be a great football player in the spring, really understanding scheme and technique and fundamentals. Learning to how our guys going to improve. Those are the things, the steps that you're taking this time of year developmentally, because you're a long way from having to play a game.
One more, sorry. So Suniga and P. Ryan, they could have left like some guys did if they'd won it for the NFL.
I could have left.
Well,
as you're saying, I guess probably with some of the guys right now, it's probably not as cut and dry as they think it is, but at the next level.
On that point, yeah. So good decisions, obviously, probably for them. And how big? What are you seeing from them, just commitment-wise?
I think guys understand.
How key is it for the program that those two did come back?
I give both guys a lot of credit, and both of those guys came, looked at it, went through a process, took in a lot of information. Listen to people that had really, to me, good advice to tell them. Listen to people in the know. Because, when you listen, I don't like to take chances with my future. I like to be pretty cut and dry, and I want to know all the details and exact of what you're doing. I don't just roll the dice and take a chance. When you look at these, you're talking about these guys, they very short-lived professional football careers. You want to make sure you don't take a chance with it. And both of those guys made sure they were very educated in making their decision. I think, we'll see how it pans out. I'm really happy for certain guys. Look at Montez Sweat. I had a big meeting with him a little over a year and a half ago. Said, boy, me and Todd sat down, said it'd probably be in your best interest. You really should stay one more year. We end up leaving and have to go play against him. And, he went from a guy that was, maybe a mid-round draft pick, solid year, to a guy now they're talking to be one of the top picks in the draft. So I think when guys really pay attention to it, they look at the options. They don't just kind of make a decision on a whim. Or for the wrong reasons, or listen to the wrong parts of it all. They end up making good decisions. And those guys have had a great attitude. One thing I always start with guys is make sure whatever you do, be all in on. Whatever you're going to do, whatever decision you make sure it's all in, or it's going to end up being a poor decision. Both of those guys listen to that, have worked their tail off this offseason, worked on leadership, worked on other things, and you expect them to have really good years and hopefully for their futures elevate their position or elevate their stability. One of the things guys miss, I think, it's not just getting to that next level. If you want to play professional football, it's not just getting there, it's trying to stay. And are you built not just to get there, but are you set to stay? Do you have the foundation that you've learned? And I think that's one of the things those guys understand. It's not just, man, do I good enough to get invited to a camp? Do I have what it takes to the knowledge and the ability to stay? And I think that's one of the things they understand. I'll tell you one thing, when you look at it, even talking with P. Ryan, again, we don't play. So you come to the scrimmage here in the Swamp, I'm not going to feed P. Ryan 35 times to make ourselves feel good in a scrimmage going home on a Saturday night in April. It's constantly working on all the things he needs to become a better football player every single down during the season next year.
On that note, though, Ja'Kai Polite's combine, were you kind of surprised?
I didn't get to see a lot of it.
You heard about it?
I heard a couple of things. I just heard a couple of things, but he's got pro day coming up, so hopefully he's ready and for that, because you want to see. I want to see all of our guys have great success. I think that's it's huge. They're guys. They're on your team. They're part of your family. You want to see them succeed, whatever it is that they're doing. And so, I know we got pro day coming up. Like 2 weeks. It's about 2 weeks, a week and something. Whenever it is coming up here. What is it? It's on the 27th. There we go. I'll go out and watch it. More concerned about tomorrow's practice at this point for us for this year's team. But I want to see those guys all have a great pro day and get opportunities to go better themselves and play at the next level.
And then Amari Burney and the young David Reese, how key is their progression this spring, and how do you see them fitting in? I know they got some position flexibility.
Yeah, well, it's huge. They're both very athletic. Both had really good off seasons. Obviously, Amari playing a little bit more last year than David did, and with that experience. But both opportunity guys who want to get on the field and see them grow and develop. And it is. I always think spring. This is a huge time for guys that are entering their second season. Like you said, a second season for me. No, I don't know as much for me in the program. As much as you do, I think should see huge jumps for players going into their second season. They've been through it a little bit. They know what to expect. They've adjusted a little bit to the speed of the college game. Most of them, very few guys are in a starring role as true freshmen. For us, Trey Dean was last year. Evan McPherson was. We're pretty good with the. I'm not going to be all stressed out about place kicking, this spring. So when you look at those guys, but a lot of those other guys now you know what to expect. You're not a rookie anymore. You know what the practice tempo's like. You know what the speed of the college game's like. You should know our offensive and defensive scheme. Now let's go see what you can do. And you get a much better judge or much better evaluation of where they're at. It's kind of unfair. When they come in, there's just – there's so much going on. Now they get a real opportunity to take those strides.
And you guys obviously had a lot of losses to the NFL. You had some seniors leave too, specifically at tight end, two guys that were really contributing a lot to your offense. How critical is it to replace those guys? Because you guys have a lot of different players at that spot now, returning, that have a lot of different strengths.
It is. It's a unique position for us because I think we have. You look at the. Might not be a huge talent drop off from the guys that left from but there's an enormous experience drop off, and performance drop off where these guys that our young guys that are here now, again, they got a tremendous opportunity. There is talent at that position. Here, and then you have Keon coming in the summer as well. There's some great talent at that position. We depend a lot on that position within our offense. It's a critical, one of the most important positions in our offense. For all the different things we ask them to do, quarterback and tight end I think are the two most difficult positions in our offense for what we ask guys to do. But there's talent there. Now they got to go use that talent, and that talent's got to translate into performance on the field. And so, hopefully, I know Larry does a great job coaching those guys. I think we have good attitude out of those guys, and certainly their desire to play or want to be playmakers. I don't think we lack that either. But they got to go do it on a consistent basis.
In your experience, like when you say I don't know, about the QB1 sort of deal and then who's starting, does that is there any way that could affect impact leadership in the locker room when you don't name a quarterback?
I would hope I hope a guy like him expects to be the starter, and he better know he's got to compete to make sure he keeps that job because there's other guys that want to compete to go take that job from him. I think anytime at any position, if you ever lose that, right? I'm coach one. There's a lot of people want to be the head coach of the University of Florida, so I don't just sit there and be like, well, I'm the head coach of Florida. I got nothing to worry about. I show up every day making sure I stay the head coach at the University of Florida. Yeah, there we go. I mean, you never know. You got to show up every day and go earn it and go perform it. But I don't think, guys that understand the game, no, they know. I mean, better walk in the huddle with the right attitude, but you better know that if I don't compete, nothing gets handed to you in our program. And I think guys understand that. And I think, to be honest with you, I think they would want it. I wouldn't want a quarterback that wouldn't want it that way. That doesn't want to be pushed every day to compete to be his best. And, they should have the confidence. I know they have the confidence in themselves. You walk in there, Emory Jones expects to be the starter. Kyle Trask expects to be the starter. Felipe expects to be the starter. That's how they kind of they got that little chip on their shoulder, right? That's how you do it, and then, and you work as hard as you can so that you're ready. When your number's called, the worst thing you can ever do, to me, in football, is when your number's called, you're not prepared for that situation because you never know. You never know when you're going to get another opportunity. Right? They go to the bullpen and call you up and you write a terrible story. You never know when you're going to get another opportunity. And I think that's just one of the things we train the guys for and teach them in life, that everybody's prepared. And the guys that, I'm sure P. Ryan expects to start a tailback for us. I'm sure there's some other tailbacks in that room that are going to make sure work every day because they want that job as well. And they'll work together and push each other. But the same deal goes.
For now, I hope. You mentioned Sweat a couple minutes ago, so
yeah.
He may or may not be drafted by the team in my market, so I have to ask. What was your reaction to his 40 time?
Well, I was really pleased. Having been around him, he's a tremendous worker. Works his tail off. Obviously, pretty impressive. I hate to say shock me. That's was it like the fastest D-line 40 time in 20 years or something like that ever?
6'5" and 260 fastest ever, something like that. 6'4", 4'1".
Yeah, he was moving. He's gonna ask for the ball. No, I think, I mean, he had tremendous, when I was around him, he had a tremendous work ethic for young guys. And, I think he also got to come into a program, though, that was pretty established. And there was a certain standard and a certain level you were expected to go work at. And, there were some veteran players around. They had a pretty veteran team that he walked into, and there were some veteran players that the bar was set extremely high of where you have to go work at every day. And, knowing everything about Tez, he was a guy that works his tail off every single day he was there to live up to that bar and live up to that level of work ethic and bought right in. So it really doesn't surprise me. And I mean, it's not going to surprise me to see him playing at the next level. And when you go out wherever he ends up, if you go out to practice watching a guy that, is going to be out there working his butt off every single day to perform at the best he can.
The portal continues to grow. How have you changed how you recruit within it?
Recruit within it?
Yeah.
Not really. I think this. I think it's guys have been transferring forever. I think the portal just kind of maybe puts it out there, like hey, look of what you do. But to me, you're looking. If we're looking for a guy that we're gonna take as a transfer, I mean, obviously there's a lot of different scenarios within it. If there's a guy that's transferring as a freshman, well, they still have a little bit of a career in front of them, so you're kind of relating them a little bit to high school players. If a guy's a little bit older guy, you look at it similar to maybe a junior college player that's a 2-year guy on your roster, and then you're looking more for need, or grad transfer, a 1-year player where you're looking for huge need. So to me, you look and you say, okay, where's our position of biggest need with the least amount of experience? Offensive line. So like, okay, if you look in terms of that, that's where you start. If you look at there's probably not a bunch of quarterbacks that are in the portal right now jumping up and saying, hey, I needed to get to Florida this spring to try to go be the starter. That type of deal. And so I think I think it goes both ways, I would imagine. I mean, usually you're looking for kids, there's a reason that they're in there. Make sure they're in there, to me, for the right reason, so you're getting the right type of guy for your program. And then, do they fit the need? I mean, I don't tend to take transfers, and whether it's a guy transferring or a grad transfer or a guy and transferring even from junior college that we don't expect to play for us, not just to bring somebody in to sit the bench. That doesn't do us. You're better going to get another young high school player that you have several years to develop and grow within your program.
Do you have someone on your staff specifically responsible for handling the portal?
We're adjusting it a little. We do. We have, and we're redoing a little bit of our recruiting staff right now. Have some new people coming in and making some changes that way within it of how it's broke down. But we will have one person that kind of oversees the list off of, who's in there. Is it somebody that is an impact player potentially that is good enough to come beat out a lot of guys that we have, or is it somebody also that is a need-based position that we need them to come in and play for us right away, that as we look at things.
Curiously on this, are you seeing more waivers given than, I mean, it seems like guys are getting waivers. They just transfer and get a waiver.
Yeah,
I don't know what the reason is.
You know what? I don't know. I mean, we were fortunate. We had 2 guys get waivers last year to be able to play for us for different reasons. I guess it is what it is. I mean, it's. Listen, we've had 3 guys enter the portal from here. Like, I'd approve all of them waivers to go play right away. I wouldn't have any problem with that, with those 3 guys. You know what I mean? I think everybody wants. I don't think everybody wants it just to be like open recruiting every single year, and you'd have to really change a lot of the rules in college football and your number of signees and all the numbers and guys that you can bring in and initials in a class, or how you'd replace guys if it was just kind of. Didn't it used to be like that, like in the 20s? Right? I mean, no, like you could have a different roster from week to week. You could pay guys, right? Weren't they doing that back then? I don't know. Were you right, Pat? What were they doing back then? Look up that article you wrote in 22 about the tailback that came in. But I think there's a lot of discussion of where it's going in the future, and I love it. I hope guys are here because they want to be Florida Gators and they want to be part of our program. And if that's what you want, it's pretty easy to want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, there's a specific reason. Not really, I think we did a poor job recruiting if guys are coming in and immediately walking out the door because it was something different than what they thought it would be. We lied to them during recruiting, or we sold them on a dream that wasn't true. That guys leave because, two of our guys that are in Portland are going to earn their degree from here. And, that meant a lot to them to make sure they didn't leave until they got that degree. Those are all the right reasons of why people are doing it, and they're looking for different opportunities. I don't know. Yeah, whatever however it works. We started, I don't know, what is 29, 25 now or something like that? Is that what the calendar says? A couple years ago, they did the great one where they tried to change a rule, but you couldn't physically get the number of practices you were supposed to have. Back when we had 29 practices in the window they gave you. It was physically impossible to do both, right? So they bumped it back and gave you you could start a week early. You could start whenever. You start up to a week earlier. Some schools used all 7 of those days. Some schools used 4. Some didn't. Some didn't want to start until August 1. I was one, we used all 7, and we gave guys more days off. Like, we didn't practice on days of final exams. We didn't have any football on that day. We didn't have any football on the first day of classes. And we actually took training camp and expanded it. You still only had the same number of practices, so you couldn't get an advantage. You just had more days to do it in. And to be honest with you, that was our highest summer GPA. That was our least number of injuries, and it was the greatest experience. To every one of the kids said that was the greatest training camp we've ever had. Why don't we do that more often? And then the NCAA the next year decided to go the opposite way and increase injuries, hurt academics, I guess, and do it the opposite direction. So, but we'll wait and see whenever they give us our start date is. Whatever our earliest possible start date that we're allowed to have, I like starting on that day because I like to give guys as maximum time off during training camp so that there's more time for recovery and health. And hopefully you can take time off during final exams and first day of classes to get settled and oriented. So, of course.